Welcome to Blueprint Boost for Contractors, the podcast that's your go-to source for unlocking the secrets to successful marketing, gaining valuable insights, and growing your contracting business with less stress. Your host is David Brooks, and he's thrilled to be your guide on this journey. As a seasoned expert in the contracting industry, David understands the challenges you face. That's why each episode is crafted to provide you with actionable strategies and proven blueprints to boost your business to new heights.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to our latest episode. And for this episode, we have a special guest with us. And I could do all the introductions myself, but I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me on. My name is Matt Tyner. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Bone Dry Roofing. We're a roofing and exteriors contractor in the Midwest, Southeast, and out west, covering about 9 states with 17, 19 locations. I'll have to fact check that one. But been in the role about a month and a half, but I come from the home services industry, so very familiar with the client interactions and customer acquisition and top of mind awareness and overall branding side of things for home services. And a home is a home and a client is a client. We just got to serve them well.
Right. Well said. Well said. Well, Matt, how do you first get involved with the home services niche?
Yeah, so that interesting enough, when I was coming out of, so I went to Butler University here in Indianapolis and loved my 4 years there. Had a year-long internship at Delta Faucet Company, who's headquartered here in Indianapolis on their retail side of things, and really became to really love the product, love the industry there. However, it was in 2010 that I graduated, so it was coming out of the housing market crash, and Delta unfortunately was still under a hiring freeze, or I think my career may have taken a little different path. But with that, got me in the HVAC space. The HVAC and home services were still going very strong. Had some connections. Actually, one of my bosses at Delta was able to get me in contact with some folks on the HVAC side, as she worked for Carrier previously. So got me on the HVAC side, loved it, worked the distribution aspect of it, ended up making a jump over to the e-commerce side. So worked for a company that was selling filters, humidifiers, and online and some services in regards to lead gen to some contractors. Loved that. Saw some really cool growth in 2 years. We sold a lot of filters, sold a lot of humidifiers online. That was just a cool experience. Then from there, wanted to go on the contracting side. I was like, well, hell, I've got the distributor, which kind of has manufacturer experience. Then I had the e-commerce side. I was like, I'm missing the contractor. So I made the jump over to a contractor's business there in Cincinnati and Lexington, and helped them kind of right size the company and get things on a growth pattern and as their director of sales and marketing. And that was a blast. It's when I really got more involved on the marketing side of it. And that was just some really, really good experience. And my wife and I, we decided to make the move back here to Indianapolis, and we were born and raised just about 30 minutes north of Indy, 40, depending on traffic. But we decided to make our way back here. I took a position as vice president of marketing for a marketing agency that specializes in the home services that is local here in Indianapolis. And then ended up making my way over to a company called Max Service Group, which locally has Williams Comfort Air and Mr. Plumber, very large HVAC and plumbing contractors here in Indianapolis. Then we have Cincinnati, Louisville, and Columbus, Ohio, about 600 employees, and driving a lot of revenue across that business. And it was just HVAC and plumbing. And then I was put into contact with Gene, the owner here at Bone Dry, and we just had some really good, productive conversations. And it just felt like it was a good time for me to make a change professionally and career-wise, and came on board here as the CMO. So month and a half, we're in it, man. We're hiring. We're having some fun, but yeah, it's been an absolute blast being over here on the roofing side.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it's been a really great journey and path for you over the years, and it's really
Yeah.
nice to be able to hear your transition through each period, and to be able to see the wins in each thing, sector that you've been in. So,
Yeah.
over the course of the years of experience, what are some trends that you observed in the home services industry?
Yeah, so I think one that's always going to hold true is serve your community and serve it well. Really being involved in the community. I think that is becoming very apparent and a big need right now, specifically as you're seeing paid media costs go in increasing, even on your top of mind awareness channels. We're going into a political cycle. It's going to be an expensive year there. Postage increases, right? We get two a year now. Things are getting more expensive on some of your paid channels, and so being more involved with your community, I think, is going to become more and more critical. And then finding the right partners, whether it be hiring people internal or finding an agency external, to be able to help you grow and align with your business objectives is going to be essential. There's a lot of, we're joking before, there's a lot of for lack of a better word, there's a lot of shitty agencies out there that do not have the best interests of their clients at heart. And that, I think, is something there's more and more transparency coming around that. And that's going to be essential for people just to know who they can partner with, who's going to help them grow based on what they want their business goals to be, right? And really help drive the business forward. Because you got to think, every time we grow the company, it's us being able to impact more and more families, right? We've got 600 to 700 full-time employees across the organization here at Bone Dry, and if each of those employees have anywhere between, either one to five people in their family, your impact and your sphere of influence grows pretty substantially. And I think we as business owners just need to be very um, cognizant as leaders, not owners, leaders. As leaders, we need to be very cognizant of that and really help bring that to light. So I think that's some of the trends, because your community, increased paid media costs. It's not going to get cheaper. Google's very forward about they want to make money. So is Meta and some of the other platforms that are commonly used. We just need to manage it accordingly.
Mhm. No, that's so true, and it's so vitally important, especially being in 2024, to be able to pivot, look at really being able to infuse your business into the community, to
Mhm.
be able to help the company grow, but also to be able to provide great world-class customer service.
Absolutely.
Customers. So
Yep.
going into that segment, what does Bone Dry do to make sure that it gives, really positive experience to customers?
Yeah, I think what I love about being here, right? As a marketer, you're always marketing success is dictated by operational performance.
Mhm.
And the operations here, I have no question about. I know if I get the lead in, we're going to take care of that client well. We really focus on what we provide to the client, being the bone dry experience. We have the We Care program, which is essentially the sales process, and it's all rooted in genuinely caring and watching out for the best interest of the client. It's not, we want to be a repair company first that is there for you when you need a new roof. Same with the other exterior services that we offer. We play the long game. It's not a simple transaction. And I think if you're doing those things and doing those things well, you're going to set your company up for success. I think we've got a problem in the home services industry, specifically during the COVID years, right? It was very transactional. It was very transactional, and I think a lot of companies lost focus on who they were as a company, because it was onto the next service, onto the next service. I've got more calls, more calls, more calls. Well, now things have kind of course corrected a little bit within the home services. Roofing hasn't felt it as much as some of the other trades, but some trades have felt it pretty bad. And it's all about playing the long game and really taking care of that call that you're on, taking care of that customer as well as you can, and so that you are then top of mind to them whenever they have a neighbor or a family member or someone that needs your service, because it's as intent lessens because people aren't as at home as much. I think that's going to be something that we just need to be very, very focused on, which is why I consider myself very lucky being here and part of the Bone Dry team, because again, it's just something that's been ingrained in their culture through Gene, the owner, for years and years and years. For 30 years, they've been in existence, and that's something that, from a marketing perspective, that's critical. Because I could drive all leads all day long, but if we give a terrible experience and that we get negative reviews and our review ratings drop in aggregate, you're gonna have problems. You're gonna have problems driving more new customers. So I think those are a couple of things that I think people need to focus on, and just really mapping out what that customer journey is. What are the touch points at each step of the journey, and understanding how it can be better. How can communication be performed? I think one of the biggest things you see in reviews are, because roofs, right, and exterior projects can be a little bit lengthier of a timeline, specifically if insurance is involved, so on and so forth. So how do you maintain that communication channel to let people know, hey, we're still working on this, we got you taken care of? And that's something that they've done a really good job of here, and that is something that is just absolutely critical to me as a marketing leader.
Yeah, and it's so true that you mentioned the review aspect of it, and then walking the customer through the journey and keeping
Mhm.
that lines of communication open. And communication is such a key element into success
Yeah.
of being able to develop a relationship with your customer, and then potential customer too as well.
Yep.
It all goes back to being customer focused and driven. I've listened to certain phone calls, and you can hear the company, and they'll put somebody on hold without asking, or
Yep.
they'll be having a conversation in the background, and 15 seconds goes by, they're still having that conversation without acknowledging the person
Right.
that that's picking up the phone,
Right.
or not even calling them back in a timely fashion.
Well, and I think this goes back to a couple of questions ago around what trends I'm seeing. I, I think we are seeing too many folks rotate out of top of mind awareness right now. I
Mhm.
think I did a LinkedIn post on this that got a decent amount of traction, and it's really unfortunate to see an over rotation again. I would have hoped we would have learned uh, in the earlier 2000s, right? The home services space over rotated to digital. A lot of people got out of your radio, your TV, your billboards, your top of mind awareness channels, which, by the way, when COVID hit, we jumped. Where I worked at previously, we jumped back in. We had 82 billboards in Indianapolis. We spent millions of dollars on TV, radio. Like, those are things that make sure you're not fighting when it comes to some of the digital things, that you're not fighting against 50 other contractors over that same PPC lead, right? And driving up that cost per click, that you're not going after the same lead gen, whether it be Home Advisor and whatever, going after that same lead with 5 other contractors, that they know you, they know they want to work with you, they know that they want to trust you. And we have to make sure we're building that trust in our marketing, right? We cannot be just solely transactional.
Mhm.
When we made that over rotation to digital, we also made an over rotation to being very transactional in our relationships with our clients and lead opportunities. And we've got to get out of that, because now, as you get back to where intent is kind of normalized, you're also going to have, if the economy is weaker, I know there's a lot of mixed emotions about that, and which, class segments that are really being impacted, so on and so forth. But when you're serving the community at large, you need to be very aware of that. And you have to understand that when things do soften, there's a natural amount of distrust that's going to be in the consumer's mind. And it's our job as marketers and as the company, from an operations and leadership perspective, it's our job to restore that trust, right? Whether it be the marketing that we're doing, whatever. It's our job to restore that trust so that people know they want to do business with us. Because if it comes down to 10 companies being displayed and there is one that they know is going to take care of them, they're going to naturally gravitate towards that one. Will they bring on some others? Yeah, but it it lends itself to typically, if you're building trust, you have systems, process in place, you're probably not going to be the cheapest person in the market, but that's okay because they know you're going to take care of them. And that's just absolutely critical. And that would be my message to home services in general, is make sure that you're really focusing on that trust building component, because at the end of the day, that's all we have to offer. They can get the service from anywhere, they can get the product from anywhere, but they can't get that experience and they can't get that level of trust. And that's our job at the top of the funnel in marketing. That's our job to really build that.
And that's so true. Building that trust is so vitally important because, like you said, you may not be the cheapest, but
No,
you,
and I don't want to be.
yeah, right.
We got a business to run. We have families to support here, right? We've got so many people that rely us on a daily. We're not going to be the cheapest,
Mhm.
but as long as our price matches the value we bring in the transaction, we're good. We're
Mhm.
good, because at the end of the day, a customer is going to evaluate you. Your value is going to be different to each and every customer. So you've got to make sure you're building as much as possible to make sure the value they're placing on your services and products match the value that you have on the price tag. And if you do have that, they're going to be comfortable making the transaction.
No, that's so true. Exactly, you hit the nail on the head right there, where the value proposition has to be there, the trust factor has to be there, and providing that great experience.
Yep.
Being able to set yourself apart from the other, 10 other companies in the area. Being
Yep.
able to have those reviews, be able to have your customers speak good for you, right?
Yep.
Uh, and that's so important to not only building trust but credibility too as well. When you have somebody else on the block, oh, I've used them before. They were great. They came and did my roof, and they answered all my questions, and they
Yep.
got back to me in a timely manner, and that is contagious.
Right. It 100% is, and that's your brand at the end of the day. So protect it.
Yes, and I think brand is so overlooked too as well. I
Yeah.
think people just operating like you said, it becomes so transactional, and people forget about building a brand, building a good presence, having that trust, having that value, and having that be displayed on the website. And
Yep.
could you give me your thoughts on, an ideal website for a contractor or a roofing contractor, someone that's in the home services niche? How important is to have that website be right?
Oh, website's critical, right? It's got to perform. It's got to live up to the speed standards that Google puts out there. You need to be able to have really, really strong call to actions, and I'm not saying aggressive call to actions. I'm saying strong call to actions. Two very, very different things. Um, and just make sure that wherever someone is within the screen, that they're able to transact with you in one fashion, right? They're able to do a call to action, to fill out, complete a form, make a phone call, so on and so forth. Make it easy for people to do business with you, and to interact with your brand. Make sure you have chat available. We're in the process of really redefining and redeveloping our web properties and what that experience is. So what you see today is going to be a completely different experience than what you're going to see in a couple of months once we have the project completed. But the web properties are absolutely critical. It sets the stage. You should be using that website as to really be building that trust, and showing them the different trust factors and what you do, and think about. I think in home services, we also do, we have a huge opportunity to think about the small things and how that impacts. There are so many things we take for granted every day, right? Roofing, picking up nails. Like, we take that for granted. Not everyone picks up nails. And so making sure that you're telling people that you do that. Allow them to understand what comes with doing business with you. That's just important, man. And we got to be telling that story, and we got to be relaying that message, because if we don't, and they don't choose to do business with us, that's on us. That's on us at that point. So tell every bit of the story that you can.
And that's so important in that aspect of, like you said, something so small as picking up nails, and that's also providing, a really good experience outside of just something that's listed that you're going to do. You
Right.
can come by and do work, but does your crew, clean up after themselves, or is it nice and tidy though
Yep.
after the job is finished? Is so crucial.
Yep. And I know, like, last thing that a roofer wants to do after putting a roof on all day is clean up. But that is, I would say that is more important than putting on the roof. Because people see the cleanup more than they see the roof. And I think at the end of the day, that's the last transaction they have and the last experience they have. Let's make sure that we do it well. But yeah, I mean, web properties, making sure you have your website up, going, really optimized for conversions, make sure it's telling the story, making sure that you have hyper local content. My background's primarily on the digital side of things, but I've grown into over the last several years on the traditional side. And going back to digital roots is there's more and more focus on hyper local content and making sure that you're ranking well locally. Getting national traffic's great, but if you're a contractor just in Indianapolis, Indiana, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter. There was a great example when I was on the HVAC and plumbing side. What was a couple years ago? They had the big freeze event down in Texas, right? Our website traffic went off the hook because who in Texas has blog content about freezing pipes? No one. And what to do about it? No one. And we got a ton of traffic for it, which is great, but it's vanity traffic that wasn't going to convert into a customer. So really, that value to me is low. Um, so making sure that you're looking through the data and you're creating good content that's local, but then looking at the data and analytics to make sure that it's local traffic that you're getting, because it's easier to create some long tail blog content, get some good national traffic, build out a page that's lengthier and more relevant than a Yelp or someone that's I'd say fairly easy to do, but you can do it, but is that what you should be doing? No, I would say it's not.
Mhm. And having that right content on the website too is so important. So
Mhm.
hyper local, hyper focused in on the customer's needs.
Yep.
And you have to be able to, whether you do internal marketing or whether you have an agency,
Yep.
is to be able to do that research to see, does it make sense? Like, we offer this service, but does it make sense to put a lot of time
Right.
and focus, in building out a lot of content where not a lot of people may be even aware that this is a thing. This is a service or something
Yep.
that they could need.
Yep. Yeah. Just you got it's our responsibility as marketers to tell them what we do. It's not their responsibility to guess, right? So let's make sure that we're telling them what they do so that ultimately they can do business with us.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're going to wrap up this segment with our lightning round. So we're just going to leave the listeners with some thoughts for 2024 as we're just ramping up the beginning of the year. What are three critical things that you would be able advice that you would give to a home services business?
Yeah. Depending, can I throw out one caveat before I do
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Uh, things that I mentioned may not be applicable to every contractor depending on their revenue band.
Mhm,
So things that I may say from the bone dry experience may not is not going to be applicable to a single location roofing contractor that's $1 to $5 million.
mhm,
So I just want to give that because I've seen instances where I've spoken somewhere. I say, we're doing 82 billboards, and then a smaller contractor then goes out and buys 3 billboards at $4,000 to $6,000 a pop, and I'm paying 600. Like there's a big big difference. So I want to put that caveat, and I'm always available on LinkedIn if someone wants to connect, and I can answer questions and give some clarity. But I would say the big things going into this year, you wanted 3, right?
Yep.
Community,
Mm-hmm.
build up that community presence and do it well. Without them, we're nothing, right? That community is what allows us to serve them. So we need to serve them well. Keeping engaged with your current client base. There's way too much opportunity in the customers that you have already served to provide even more services to them, and it's probably because they don't know you offer it. Right? We're doing a roofing job. We should probably also do the siding job if they need new siding. If they're getting quotes for siding, I sure hope they call us for that to be able to give them a quote. But I guarantee there's a lot of siding products that are being put on under a bone dry roof. And so make sure that you're engaging and you're letting people know what you do so they can select to do business with you. And then I would say, lastly, if you are in top of mind awareness, don't abandon it. That is something that is critical to the marketing mix. It is a mix. Keep that in mind. It's not just digital. It's not just top of mind. It's a mix, and the people that understand that do very well. Do very well in times like these.
Right. No, excellent. Thanks, Matt. We appreciate it so much for giving us these nuggets of wisdom. And thank you, the listeners, for being able to listen to this episode. Tune in next time.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Blueprint Boost for Contractors. We hope you found today's insights and strategies valuable for your contracting business. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and please leave us a review. Your feedback helps us bring content that truly matters.